All right, so we'll get started. So, as y'all probably saw from the title, I'm going to talk about building a bond with your dog. For the most part, it's kind of fairly easy, at least on my end. But some people still want to ask ask me what I do personally. So we'll just cover a few topics, and we'll kind of go from there. So, the way I do it is I basically start with my obedience. I build my bond using my obedience with my dog, because obedience is a way that I can communicate with him or her, and they will understand what I'm trying to say. So even just simple sits, downs, things of that nature, if you're consistent with what you teach them and what you're asking of them, and you're fair about it, then your bond will grow, just because they know when you ask something that they understand what you're saying. So a lot of people, they don't think about obedience as being that it helps with bonding, but it does. Because if sit is sit, then that's what it means. You don't have 10 terms for sit or anything like that, and you're not asking anything crazy. You're just asking for something simple. So because of that, you are able to talk to them and they know what you're saying. I want to say hello to Ashley. She just popped in. Hello, Ashley. So by doing that, you really, really build that bond between them. Like I said, obedience, I think, tends to get looked over when it comes to building bonds with your dog. Just because it's not as exciting as a lot of other things. Even teaching tricks. Some tricks are still good for building a bond with your dog. Also, another way we do it is with tug or with play. I like to play tug with my dogs for the simple fact that it is very one-on-one. It is something between me and my dog, and nobody else or no other animal in the house. It's just us. So we play. I actually have special toys for tugs when I play tugs with my dog, because I want that toy to be special. So I don't want it to be an everyday toy that they just get to run around and do stuff with. I want that toy to mean something to them. So with that, I use it, I pull it out, we use it, and when I'm done, I put it away. So it makes it that much more fun. Like I said, just play in general is another good way to do it. Real quick too, on top of that is with tug. Some people ask me about it because in the last several years, people were saying that tug was not a good game because it taught your dog to be possessive. I do not find that to be true, for the simple fact that I'll answer your question there in a second, Amanda. Thank you. What I use for a tug. Actually, you can use kind of anything. I'll answer it now. You can use anything. You can buy tug toys. You can go to places like Ray Allen, and they have tug toys. But you can also use a rope. I use a towel for one of our dogs here, X. He uses he loves a towel. That's what he started out with, and he will demolish them and wrestle them all day long. So, but it's pretty much anything that you can have fun with them. Also, the object behind it is you want to be able to make sure that you build a confidence. Don't just rip it out of their mouths. So with that, you also need to teach them how to out, which leads into why people, I think, have a hard time with teaching tug or playing tug, is because a lot of them don't know how to get their dogs to release. So so they're always whipping it out of their dog's mouths, and so their dogs don't want to play. So with that, like I said, you need to teach your dog an out command. If anybody wants to know that, we can go over that on another live stream as well. So, but playing tug is like I said, it's a great way to build your bond, and also just playing with them one-on-one in general. Another way to do this would be exercise. Get them out and play with them. Today we got out with just 3 of our dogs. We have 5 dogs altogether, but we just took 3 of them today for a little bit more of a smaller pack. They get out and they play and they run with us and they hang out with us. They do things with us. We take them for walks. We take them kayaking. We take them cycling. A lot of the stuff we do together with our dogs, which makes it more fun to be with us. So that also builds the bond that we have together. They run around like maniacs all through the woods, so they burn some energy. Our little boy Amp, he runs off and chases everything and anything that he thinks he sees, whether there's nothing there or not. But that's another way to build your bond with your dog, is to do a lot of personal stuff, which will lead me into the fact that, like I said, because we have 5 dogs, one-on-one time is very, very important with your dogs if you have multiple dogs. Because just like with children, they need one-on-one time. It is shared time it's not shared time, it's one-on personal time, I should say. It's one-on-one time. Let's see, my mom asked, do you use a different tug for each dog? It depends. If they all like a certain toy, and most of our dogs will play with the same toys, so it doesn't have to be a different toy. But if your dog has a favorite toy that is theirs that they love to play with, then yes, use that toy. A lot of people want to go out and they want to buy the toy they think their dog should have. It's brand new and it's nothing. I'll tell people to bring your tug or your dog's favorite toy to class with us, and we'll do some work on some drive building with the toy. They'll show up with a brand new toy the dog has never seen before, and we'll present it to them, and some dogs won't play with it because it's not their toy. And I'll ask them, is this your dog's favorite toy? And they'll be like, no, I just bought it for this occasion. Your dog's favorite toy is the toy that is that nasty, stinky, covered in mud, thing that's in the backyard that's nasty as all get out. And that's their favorite toy. That's how you know which one is theirs. So you use that toy. It's a special toy. So with that, that's how you know which one. So, and then let's see. My mom asked you, or Mason asked, how do you do one-on-one without the other dogs getting upset? I put them away. All my dogs are crate trained, so I either put them in a crate or I put them in the backyard while I'm doing one-on-one, or they stay at home and I take them out somewhere else and I will do one-on-one. A lot of people feel bad. They think, well, my dog's going to get jealous or it's going to get upset. They're not going to get jealous or upset if you leave one behind. Yeah, they want to go, but it's good for them to get out and be away from each other even. Dogs can become very dependent on them. So if you've got your dogs are always together all the time, you don't do one-on-one with them, they will bond with each other before they bond with you. And not only that, but their bond will be stronger just because they're dogs. Dogs are going to bond with dogs. People bond with people for the most part. Except for us, most of us crazy dog people, then we bond with our dogs better than we bond with people. So with that, that's why another reason why it's very important to get them out separate. It's not just because it's to get them to where they don't depend on each other and only each other and not depend on you as well. So, all right. Thanks, Mom. So you must have been calling me a goof. All right. Let's see. Another way is, like I was saying, don't let your dogs constantly always be with the other dogs in your house. You have to separate them. Yes, Nicole. It's important for your dogs to have one-on-one time with you and your spouse separately. Yeah, it can be. I see what it's saying. Sorry, I misread that. I thought you were saying it was good to have downtime, one-on-one time with your dog separate from your spouse, so that way you can possibly get away on your own. It's not really. It's when you're doing something, if you're doing obedience, what I consider to be important is the one person at a time is doing obedience with the dog at a time. So it doesn't mean you both can't be there, but you don't want to both be sitting there going sit and down and talking to the dog, because the dog's just going to be like, can get confused and look at you like, what is going on? So it's not so much a big deal, because if you're doing one-on-one time, like if you're playing tug, then it's between you and your dog. Now, if you pass the tug to your husband and he plays, then that's fine, because it's between the two of you. So that's not so much a big deal from being around your spouse. It's just that one of you should be kind of taking the reins, I guess you could say, over the other one. So if you're out there and you're, like I said, if you're doing obedience and you're asking for something, then you want the one person to do it. That doesn't mean one person can't do it for a few minutes and the other person take over, but you don't want to be trying to do it at the same time. It just can be too much for the dog, especially in the beginning, if they're young. But going back to one-on-one stuff with your dogs and taking your dogs to do things, that doing the stuff with them is be like dog parks. I'm not big on dog parks because in theory they're good, but your dog is being babysat by other dogs. You are losing your one-on-one abilities with your dog, along with the other dangers that I feel that come with dog parks. And if anybody wants to talk about that, we can do that one another time. I'm not saying that the dogs shouldn't go. I'm just not a big fan of them personally. Some people have great experiences with them, and that's fine. I don't want to make anybody feel bad by saying that I'm not a big dog park fan. If you go, that's great. But if you do, make sure that your dog has its commands down well. That way, if you needed to do something, you can get it away from the situation. Also, it wants to be with you more so than anything else. But also, that being said, people feel bad. I get people who come to me a lot and they talk about how, I want my dog to have doggy friends and I don't feel like I'm doing enough for my dog. Well, if you're spending time with your dog, if you're taking it for walks, if you're playing with it, you take them and let them run around like maniacs places and doing things, don't feel bad if your dog doesn't go to a dog park, because it's getting everything it needs from you. It's not missing anything not being at a dog park. So unless your dog, the way I look at it, unless your dog has a friend that it sees every day, why take it to somewhere where there's strangers and strange dogs and throw it into a situation that could possibly be a negative situation? So, and then kind of another thing would be downtime. It's nice to have your dog relax. Come home, let them sit down. Either hang out with you on the couch and be calm, or if they're not able to, put them in a crate and let them relax and have some downtime, so that you're not always stressing them with play. Because too much play and not enough downtime can also be a bad thing. But hanging out with them on the couch is great. You're still doing one-on-one. They're hanging out with you. They're having a good time. So, anybody got any questions on anything so far? Like I said, this is my first video like this, so sorry if it's kind of all over the place. I hope to get better as we get going along. Another thing too is I do working dogs and I have pet dogs. So some people I look at a couple of different ways. If you have a pet dog, some of your stuff's going to be a little bit different. For those who have pet dogs, this is the list I pretty much went over with just now, is kind of what you would do more for your pet dogs. For me now, if you have a working dog that's going to have a job, like my little terrier that I just recently got, he's going to be a working dog. Now, he is my pet and he's going to be my buddy and my companion, but his life is a little bit different. So for him, his time is not as free as my pet dogs would be. Like, he is not denting couches right now. When he is out, we're doing something together, whether we're hanging out or we're doing some training. So when we're not doing that, then he's kind of put away a little bit. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't see a lot of time and a lot of things don't happen. He gets a lot of time with me because training takes a lot of time. But we also play together a lot. So with that being said, if anybody's interested on the working side of everything, we can talk about that another time if you'd like to. See, Amanda says, do you think the more you do with them, the more they want to do? Yes. As long as you keep it positive and fun, then yes, I do believe the more they want to do with you. Because if they understand what you're asking of them and you're being fair with what you do and you make it fun and it's always a good time, then yes, I do believe they will want to do more with you. So, because you're their companion, you're the kind of the captain of the team, they want to hang out with you. Let's see, Nicole says, I'm happy you started doing these. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Well, thank you, Nicole. I will, I will do my best. Like I said, this doesn't mean this is the only way to do some of these things. This is just the way that I do it personally, that I have found that it worked over the years. And it doesn't mean that I can't learn or may not have some other information later on. But right now, this is what I know. So this is what I'm trying to do. Amanda says, I need to teach them downtime. Well, you give them their downtime after you get back from your walks in the morning, like you said, when you feed them, after you feed them breakfast, Amanda. So you have everybody calm down. Whether or not they're just hanging out in the house and following you around or not, they're not running crazy or being ridiculous. For anybody whose dog won't settle down, you could teach them, you can crate train them. There's nothing wrong with putting them in a crate and letting them have downtime in their crate. It's a calming time. It teaches them to be calm. And it's good for them mentally. Another thing you teach them is you can teach them a place command. Place will kind of makes them stay in one spot, so they kind of have to be calm. So they don't really have a choice about it, I guess you could say, almost like the crate, except you're not putting them away. So, anybody else have any questions? So I know, Amanda, you said you had a couple. I didn't know if you had a few more or not. If it's not about the topic that we're covering today, if there's another topic that you would like to talk about in the future, please put that in the comments now, or even message me later and let me know. Like I said, I'm going to try to start doing these once a week on Wednesdays at 6 p.m., not 6 a.m. Let's see. Jennifer says, I had my dog in the woods behind my house, and she was running free with my kids and the neighbor's kids. The adult neighbor showed up unexpectedly, and my dog, unexpectedly, sorry, and my dog got instantly protective. She sat right next to me and in front of the kids, growled a lot. I put her on a leash and took her home because I already thought she was going to bite them. Is that normal? Well, it could either be a protection kind of thing, or it could be a little bit of a nervous thing. Calmly taking your dog home and getting out of the situation was actually a good thing to do. You wouldn't want to punish that just in case it is a fear thing, because if you punish it, then you can make it worse. If you like to, just message me and you and I can talk about that a little bit more one-on-one, or I can even cover the difference between like fear and protection, fearfulness and protection in dogs. I'll write that down. Sorry, that's what I'm doing over here. In case I'm writing something down that I can think about for later on. And I'm also occasionally looking at my little dog who's running around the bedroom chewing on things. So, Amanda says, how do I get Jason to stop buying dogs? Good luck on that one, Amanda. I can't help you on that. So, all right, let me scroll down here. What do we got? Let's see, Mason. Hey, Mason. My golden still can't be in the crate without crying hours on end. How can I fix this, and how long does it usually take? Mason, that is kind of a subject on its own. It can take a while because there's several different ways to possibly make it happen. If that's your oldest dog, I believe, correct? If so, the biggest problem you're probably running into would be separation anxiety, because you were able to do so much and spend so much time with that dog before you ended up crate training him, that now it's going to be a habit, and so it's going to be hard to deal with. So with that, that could be something we talk about later, or I can just talk to you on the phone with it about it at some point in time. So if anybody would like to know how to crate train and what to do about it, I can put that as on my list, and we can go from there and kind of talk about it, because it can take some time. Let's see. Amy says, I appreciate the information. Can you do one on barking? Talking about just barking in general at everything or at certain things, because I can cover kind of a spectrum, but it might be a little easier if it could be a little easier if I know something specific, then we can kind of narrow it down. So, hey, Joseph, is it normal to make your dog sleep in the crate? It is if you feel like it's a safety issue. Right now, our daughter's dog, who is 8-ish months or so, he's at work. See, Amy says barking at everything. Okay, well, I'll start making some notes on barking, and we'll go over that at some point in time, Amy. All right, Joe, we'll get back to you. It says no dogs sleep in a crate. Crates are good for safety. My working dogs usually sleep in crates because they are so wound up, and they always, when they're out, it's time to work. So if you let them out to just run around and they don't have a job to do at that time, and we go to bed, they're probably going to eat the house. So it's safety for my house and for my dog. So if I want to wake up and still have a house left, then my working dogs are crated. My boy Riddick was that way. He was a working dog. He was crated because he could not be out, because that's not what his lifestyle was. Now back to like our daughter's dog. He is crated right now. She's 9 and she's doing it on her own, training with him, doing his training. And he is also young, and he is a working cattle dog. So he has infinite energy. We took him out with her to give him, to see how he would do, to test him out. First night he didn't do so bad. The next night he ate her carpet in her room. So for now he's back in the crate. Like I said, for safety of the house and for his safety as well. But it also doesn't help that Lydia sleeps through bombs. So you could blow a bomb up next to her and she would never know it. He could eat the bed out from underneath her and she would never wake up. So with that being said, there's nothing wrong with them sleeping in their crate, because they're asleep anyway. So what does it really matter? That's like when you leave to go somewhere, and if you crate them, don't feel bad, because if you were to set cameras up in your house, more than likely the only thing your dog is either doing, unless you have a separation anxiety dog, is one, they'll eat your house, in which case you don't want that, so that's why you crate them. And two, if they don't have separation anxiety, then they're just following the warm spots in the house, and that's it. So crating them is, it's not a bad thing. Jason, hey Jason, how you doing? He says, how do I stop my wife from buying dog merchandise in multiple quantities? Jason, her and I talked about that the other day. She's doing it to save money, because apparently if you get over a certain amount, the shipping is free. So if you look at it, the way she looks at it, she's actually saving you money in the long run. But other than that, I don't know. So, the other thing about, like I said, talking about the crate training stuff, is the nice thing about them too being in a crate is if you're not home, depending on your dog's temperament as well, they may do well outside of a crate in the house. But if you have an issue where your dog may have a fear issue of people, or if something happens in your house and somebody has to come in your house to get your dogs out, say God forbid you have a fire, or if somebody and they have to come in and rescue your dogs, being in a crate could possibly help them rescue your dogs, because if the house is on fire, they're going to be panicking. Somebody they don't know, wearing a mask, all suited up, come barging through, is going to come and get them. They may run or they may hide, in which case they may never get out of the house. Another thing could possibly be, if for some reason if somebody breaks in your house, I know people want their dogs to protect their house, but after they chase the guy out, if they do protect the house, or what happens if they run for safety because they're like, I'm out of here. Or they're really, really friendly, and the guy walks in and like, hey, how you doing? TV's here, stereo's there, and Nintendo's here. Pet me on the way out. Dog treats are right here if you don't mind me getting one. And when they leave, your dog takes off out the door. Now you're looking for your dog. So crate training them while you're not home can be a safety issue as well, just to help them out in just case anything happens. So, anything else? Any other questions anybody has? I have a little list of so far. I'm going to try to cover an out command at some point in time. We'll talk about dog parks a little bit. The difference between like fear barking and barking for protection. And we can cover crates as well in the future. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to talk about? Or any personal questions for me about my dogs? All right, Mason. Mason says, crate video for sure. All right, well, with having a young dog like I have, who's probably about 20 weeks or so, we might be able to do something at some point in time where where I'll actually show you, because he is not crate trained, as in he doesn't know it on command yet. So we might actually be able to go through how to do it, and then we can talk about the crate, and types of crates I also suggest as well. So, hold on a second, write that down. Types. Amanda says, can we see the little gremlin? Yes, he is over here somewhere chewing on a bone. Hold on a minute. And now he's walking the other direction because I'm coming for his bone. There we go, hold on. This is the little monster, if you can see him. This is Blix. My little guy. I've never personally owned a dog this small. He is the first time I've ever actually owned a Patterdale Terrier. So wish me luck, y'all. They are very much full of energy. He did a little over 6 miles today on the trail, and he's still got a little bit of energy enough to sit over there and chew his bone. So, all right, kid. I'll let you get back to it. Go have fun. Let's see. Sandy says, Kai always growls at people when he's afraid. That's in the house also. What can I do about that? All right, Mom. I'll try to cover that a little bit now, but we can actually do something on that. That is a fear issue. If he is growling, he is being fearful. He's fearful of that. You can try a couple different things. You can either take him out of the situation calmly. Don't ever correct him for it, because then it can make it worse. Because if he's afraid, you don't want to punish him for being afraid. So, and not only that, but punishing him could also make you kind of not the good guy, and he should be depending on you for safety. So the other thing you could do is, if you know you have somebody coming over, is it new people, or is it anybody that just when they first come in the house? I guess that's another thing that we could talk about real quick. That's another question I have for you. But what you can do is you can arm yourself with food. I'm sure Kai likes food. Most of our dogs in our house growing up liked food, so I'm sure he does. If so, when people come over, see, it could be anyone. Okay. Is it until he realizes? Yes, Jennifer, I'm drinking wine. I'm actually drinking wine out of a chicken glass. So, wine is, drinking wine or having a beer is perfectly okay. It is actually, it's actually suggested for when you're training or doing any kind of dog, any kind of dog activity. That way if you get frustrated, you are very calm and don't care. So it makes training a little bit more fun. So yes, so wine is definitely is always okay. But no, Mom, back to your question. If it's when you first come in, see, he's good be sleeping on the couch and someone come around and he'll growl. Is it until he realizes who you are? Because if that's the case, then it may be you're startling him. And so if he's a little fearful, it could be a startling situation. But if it's when people come in the house, one of the ways you can do things you can do with that is come armed with food. If you know somebody's coming in, have food on hand. I suggest I take the food in at first, because if the person comes in, of course, they're obviously probably not going to have treats when they come in. But take some treats and throw them on the floor off to the side. Just kind of throw them out and let them spread out. And let him eat them as they're coming in. If he growls at them, they just ignore him until he is quiet. Or if he comes up, then that's fine. But I don't ever force the dog on the person if he doesn't want to come to them. So then what you can do is once the person comes in, you can hand them treats, and that person is to not to look at him or to really acknowledge him, but just occasionally throw some treats to him. If he comes up to them, fine, that's fine. But they just ignore him. And they just keep giving him little treats at a time. The idea behind it is to eventually realize that people aren't bad, they're good. So for some reason, he might have a slight fear behind him. And so he just kind of reacts. But the one thing that we don't ever want to do is punish that out of him, or try to punish it out of him, because if he growls and you don't punish it correctly, or correct it correctly, I should say, then you can make it worse to where now everybody's bad. Because if your timing isn't good and you were to correct him, he may start perceiving everybody as being bad. So anytime somebody comes around, he is going to growl at them. You see, he does it even with us when he's not afraid. And you said it's when you wake him up, or if he's on a couch and doesn't want to get off, because if that's an issue, then he thinks it's his, in which case then I would start making him not be on the couch anymore. He'll lose a little bit of freedoms, because then he thinks he owns it and it's his couch. So with that, it's get down. I still don't really want to punish it, but says you have corrected him, so I'll stop. Yeah, just get him off of it. We can go over that another time, but you can also, call me at some point in time, Mom, and we'll talk about it. So a little bit more. If anybody has issues about that, we could try, a possession of object as well. Possessive. How do I spell possessive? I'm not asking you, Mom. I'm asking somebody that can spell. I'll just, if I spell it wrong, at least I'll know, how to do it. There we go. All right. You're welcome, Mother. So I kind of got a nice little list going. Anybody else have any other questions? If not, we will sign off for the evening. And I do appreciate everybody being here. Like I said, I'd like to do this again. I'm going to start trying to do it once a week, at least on Wednesdays at 6, so we can stay with the time. Thanks, Dana. I appreciate it. Possessive. Oh my goodness. I almost spelled it right. I left out one of the S's at the end. But that also could have just been because my handwriting is crappy and I can't tell. But thank you. So, but I got a message through text. Somebody said, so they're saying that Luca is a Rottie that trains with me is enjoying the live video, the live feed. So I'm glad. Thanks, Dana. Almost doesn't make it right. I'm glad you're there to pick me up, babe. Like also, like I said, I'm gonna try to do this every Wednesday at 6. That way we can be consistent. Remember, it's 6 p.m. Not 6 a.m. I will remember that it's 6 p.m. and not 6 a.m. And I want to thank and apologize for those of you who were here at 6 a.m. And I was not. I was tucked nicely in my bed, surrounded by dogs and cats, and was not up. I'm sorry again. My mom says I agree. Looking forward to the training. Now that you're not home anymore to make it more difficult for me. Well, I could probably turn you on to a really good trainer, Mom, somewhere. Because it's always nice to know a good trainer somewhere. That's what Dana keeps saying, that she's hoping eventually to find a good trainer for our dogs as well. And I told her, well, if she does, please let me know, because our dogs need some training as well. So, all right, everybody. Well, like I said, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for spending time with me. I'm looking forward to doing this a little bit more. Like I said, I'm kind of learning as I go. This is my first live stream of doing this, so I'm kind of going to have to knock some of the chinks out of this a little bit more. But hopefully the more I do it, the better it should be. But thanks again, everybody. Y'all have a great night. And like I said, if you have any other questions you think of later on, please put them in the comments below. And if you can, please tell your friends that I will be doing these as well. And just good night, everybody. Thank you very much.